I'm so sorry that I'm so late today. I really apologize for that. The reason that I'm late is that I was filming my Avengers video game review. And it took a lot longer than I thought it would. So I wanted to also film that before we went live because I was going to lose the light behind me, and I want that to go up first thing tomorrow. So I apologize about that again. I'm sorry that I was so late. I feel bad that I kept you waiting, but we have some really great stories to discuss today. I'm very excited for a fun stream today. Thank you everybody for your patience, and again, I'm so sorry that I kept you waiting. Did anyone hold on. Did anyone become a member? Well, let me see. I want to make sure I don't owe any shout outs. It looks like we're good. All right, we're good. Thursday stream. This is the last stream of the week. The next stream, of course, will be on Monday. Hey, David, I'm glad you're a new member. Thanks for joining. But if you join during a live stream, you get a shout out. So we have some cool stories to go over today. By the way, I know I haven't been doing the usual shout outs to everybody and asking what you're up to. I realized that, but I think it's better to get into the stream. And what I'm going to do from now on is I'll do those at the beginning of the Q&A section. Hey, Erwin Ulan, thanks for joining. So let's get to today's 3 stories. And then, of course, at the end of the stream, you can ask me anything that you would like. As for the Mandalorian tea, I've decided that unless it breaks earlier, I'm going to probably share it whenever the trailer comes out. I'm trying to just be very careful about it. It's tricky when you have such a big story and nobody else seems to cover it or not. It's weird. All right, so let's get to the 3 stories of the day, and let's go. All right, so it's very hot today. Oh, very hot. I turned the air conditioning off because I don't want it to ruin the sound, but I got to tell you, it's hot. All right. I have a lot of lights on me, which makes it even hotter. All right, so story number 1. You guys have been so great about the boops. Boop. Story number 1. What a great story this is. So anyway, Robocop, they actually was announced today. Well, it wasn't announced today, but the original screenwriter, Ed Neumeyer, was doing an interview. And so he decided to give a little bit of information about a project that he's working on. And it was, I think, quite the doozy. So anyway, by the way, I recently rewatched Robocop because for Mortal Kombat 11, of course, the character shows up as one of the DLC characters. So I wanted to rewatch the movie so I would be all ready. And I have to say, the 1987 original movie really holds up. It's really good. And in fact, in some ways, it's even more relevant than it was originally. Joseph, this is the screenwriter on the 1987 movie. You've never seen Robocop, Lloyd? Oh, it's very good. Very good. So anyway, he's giving an interview, and he said that he's still working on it, actually. He's working on it for MGM, and what he's doing is he's developing a prequel. They don't have a home for it yet. You know, we're going to talk about the Joe Exotic Tiger King show in a minute at the end of the stream. But basically, the way that it works is that sometimes you don't have a distributor. You don't have somebody sign on to be the streaming service or the network. So what you do is you put everything together, just like Fresh Prince that we were talking about the other day, the Fresh Prince reboot. You put everything together, you maybe make a trailer, maybe you even make a pilot. This Neumeyer says they want to make a pilot. And then you try and sell it and you see if someone can get it. That's right, Mika, it's called packaging. But sometimes you go even beyond packaging and you actually make a pilot episode. So you go even beyond, and that means that the distributor isn't as involved in developing the project. So it's an interesting scenario. So MGM is having this guy work on writing this out, and they want to do a prequel for a streaming show. And the thing that got everybody's attention is that it's not going to include Robocop. And people were like, how on earth could you do a prequel about Robocop with no Robocop? Why would anybody care about that story if you didn't have a Robocop? Well, it sounds like you can definitely do this. So what they have in mind is they want to focus, it's just called Cop, Sean, that's funny. So they want to focus on the way that things got so bad that led to needing Robocop. So that means Omni Consumer Products, OCP, seeing what's going on with them, how they become like more of more powerful and evil corporation. And then at the same time, looking at the police force in Detroit in the future and how things are getting worse and worse and that they're having problems and maybe how they start to get involved with a corporation. I think that sounds pretty freaking interesting. And then to make it even cooler, who will be the star of the show? Why, it will be Mr. Dick Jones. That's the character that you see there. The evil vice president in the movie who just seems so absurdly evil. But then, of course, when you see some of the things that are happening today, maybe not so evil. And this is going to be an origin story to show what it's like for him and how maybe he becomes the twisted character that he eventually becomes in the actual movie. I think that would be a choice, amazing role. Alexander Skarsgård is good casting, Sean. You're on fire today, Sean Turner. I think that's a really great idea, to get somebody to play that role. A little bit like Ratchet as well, Max, you're right. And by the way, even though Robocop won't be on the show, that doesn't mean they can't have other products that they're developing and they're discussing. And I think it's a really good idea. I love it. Some of my favorite scenes, in fact, in the original Robocop in 1987 were the business people talking about experiments. And when they're just talking to Robocop's head before he totally comes online. I thought that stuff was really interesting. So to have a whole show about that, I think is absolutely fantastic. I love it. And to show the police coming together with the company, I think it's really great. It is a little like Gotham, as some of you mentioned. I like that idea. Wayne Tech, Wayne Enterprises and the Gotham City Police Department. It should be focusing more on the company. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a really, really strong idea. So, I think it'll depend who the casting is, and I think it'll depend on who the showrunner is, and I think it'll depend what streaming site it ends up on. I think that would be very important. Karen Sita, it doesn't have anybody yet. They still haven't even cast it yet. It's still in the scripting stages. Mika's right. Sarah Connor Chronicles didn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger as a Terminator, but it did have Summer Glau, who played one of the best Terminators of the franchise. I feel bad she never gets enough credit for that. Neil Blomkamp, Mika, that's a good choice. I think maybe, I don't know. He's not very commercial, though. Most of his projects don't turn out. I'd be a little nervous about that. I'd want someone who maybe was like a little bit more in touch with what people want to see. But yeah, I think this is a good idea. But Latow is not interested. Would anybody here be interested in this? What do you guys think? Ironic Faith, Jared Harris is a nice idea. I do feel it's very like evil Mad Men. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of no's. That's interesting. I'm surprised how many no's. I'd still develop it, though. I got to tell you. I feel I could change your mind with my trailer. Douglas says, I'd give it a try. That's interesting. Some of you are very against it. It's a very good movie. If you haven't seen Robocop or if you haven't seen it in a while, I'd go check it out again. Like when Robocop enters the precinct, it's pretty freaking neat. And it's a little bit like Upgrade, where Peter Weller did a lot of the acting in the suit, moving like a robot, and they really sold it with the sound effects and his acting. It's really cool. All right, so that's the first story of the day. We'll see how, sometimes things take a very long time to actually get anywhere. So even though Ed Neumeyer talked about it in this interview, it might never actually get picked up anywhere and never get off the idea page. But it's interesting to know that things are in development. And I think it shows you how streaming has really changed the industry, and that everybody's like, how can we get a streaming show? And like, how could we tell like an interesting version of our story that, can last for 8 to 10 hours? I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a very clever idea, although some of you are not impressed. So that would make me a little nervous. But I'd be like, I gotta cast a really good actor as Dick Jones. All right. So let's go to the second story of the day. Boop. The second story of the day is that, yes, Neve Campbell. We have the final nail in the Scream 5 coffin, and that's that Neve Campbell has signed on to reprise her role in the iconic franchises. Sidney Prescott. Everybody's so excited about this. She's been in negotiations for 3 months, which is why it's not as big a headline as you maybe would have expected, because it was already announced that she was in negotiations. So today what happened is that she signed her deal. There was some talk that she was worried about, doing it right without Wes Craven. I think she was probably just waiting for a very good paycheck, because she's done all the Screams. She's been in every single Scream. I don't see why she would suddenly stop being in Screams, especially because she's not doing anything else. And also, you really can't make it without her. They'd be like, what is the number, Neve? Because you have to be in this movie. So she's joining David Arquette and Courtney Cox, who are both returning. And of course, as we recently discussed, Jack Quaid from The Boys is going to... that's an interesting question there, George. One second. Jack Quaid from The Boys is joining the film as a new cast member. George Alexander, that's a good idea. Do you think she could be the first victim? Because I was saying, and for my notes here, the most important thing really is who's going to be the celebrity cameo at the beginning of the movie. And it would be interesting if it was Sidney Prescott. I think people would feel cheated and disappointed. They're also saying they want to reboot the show. I don't know how that's going to work with so many of the former cast members. I'm very curious to see how this is what they're planning here. But I think it's a pretty good idea. And I'm glad that they were able to get everybody, and I think people are pretty excited. So obviously you guys are excited. I think Scream's going to be a really hot ticket. Even Scream 4, I think, did pretty well. Chico, Emma Roberts is not signed on. They're really only, I think, looking at the original film. But where's Jamie Kennedy? Where's Skeet Ulrich? Where's Matthew? What's the guy's name? Who was the other killer? He was Shaggy in the Scooby movies. I'm forgetting the name. I could look it up, but I bet you guys know. Matthew Lillard. Everybody knew. Yeah, where are those guys? I'd find a way to maybe bring them back. I guess they're dead. But is it new or not? Like, are these people playing themselves? It's confusing to me. I think it's, Skeet Ulrich, of course, quite popular again after Riverdale. I wish they could find a way to make it work. All right, so that's the second story of the day. Roy, I'm not sure if it's a reboot. They're saying it's a reboot, but these people are playing their original characters. It's weird. It's weird. All right, so that's the second story of the day. Now, the third story of the day, boop, is that the Joe Exotic show, one of two shows that's being made right now, found a home. And that is on Amazon Prime, as you can see. So Tiger King was a huge success for Netflix at the beginning of the pandemic. I mean, it was not only an incredible documentary where every episode, something even crazier happened than the last, and just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, and it was all true. And of course, it was at the beginning of the pandemic where everybody was stuck at home. So it was extremely, extremely successful. Now, at the time, Kate McKinnon was already developing her own Tiger King, Joe Exotic show, where she would play Carol Baskin, who, by the way, just signed on for Dancing with the Stars. So, that's going to help keep this people interested in this. And Kate McKinnon, so she's already developing that, and she's gone forward with it, and that actually has landed at NBC Peacock. We're not quite sure where it's going to air, but, I'm not surprised, especially considering Kate McKinnon is on Saturday Night Live. She has a very good relationship, obviously, at NBC Universal. But Nicolas Cage isn't playing Joe Exotic opposite Kate McKinnon. He's in his own competing show. And I have to say, he's just, this role is maybe just crazy enough for him. I think he could really do a great job here. And they're saying the focus of this show will be Joe Exotic. The Kate McKinnon one's going to focus on Carol Baskin, and the Nicolas Cage one is going to focus on Joe Exotic. And it's going to focus on how he got lost in this character of his own creation, which sounds like a perfect role for Nicolas Cage. So Amazon has signed on to not only distribute, but Amazon Studios is going to help develop it. That's funny, Angel Arc. He is kind of playing himself. Now, I think the key here will be who is cast as the other character in the respective series. Who is Nicolas Cage's Carol Baskin, and who's Kate McKinnon's Joe Exotic? That's really important. Rob Lowe was also, I think, did Rob Lowe sign on with the Kate McKinnon one? Let me see here. Lauren's like, just combine them. They can't combine them, unfortunately, because they're different networks with different producers. So nobody's willing to give up their money. Elizabeth Shue is pretty good casting, Mika. Let's see here. Rob Lowe. Tiger King. I think he just wanted to play it. Yeah, I think he just wanted to do it. Everybody wants to be Tiger King. Oh, Rob Lowe and Ryan Murphy were considering doing it. They're not going to do it now. There's too many competing projects on it. So Rob Lowe's out. So we'll see. Toni Collette is a great choice, Max. That's the thing. I think what's going to be the tiebreaker is who is the other cast member in the competing projects. But right now, write down if you're more interested in Joe Exotic, Nicolas Cage, or Carol Baskin, Kate McKinnon. Did somebody... Nick Salette, thank you for joining. I was looking down at my phone when you joined. Oh, I see a lot of boths. You can't watch both of these. A lot of Nicolas Cage. But Kate McKinnon has a respectable showing here. I like Kate McKinnon, but I feel she's very one note. I feel like I already know what her Carol Baskin's going to look like. Lloyd's like, I don't want to watch either of these shows. That's funny. Chesko also is not particularly interested. While Roy loves them both. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think we have to actually see the shows. And then what's also going to be crucial is who gets to the television first. That's also, they're going to be in a race for who debuts first, because that's a really big part of it. Cage and Colette, says Eric. It sells itself. I really like Nicolas Cage and Toni Collette. I think that's a great idea. That's very exciting to me. I think they're going to try, I think that you want to try, you don't want it to be too comedy sketchy because it has to last for like 8 to 10 episodes. So I get a little bit nervous that if it seems too much like a one-time comedy sketch with Kate McKinnon, how are you going to continue with that? All right, so those are the 3 stories of the day. It is 5 o'clock. We'll go till 5:10. And you can ask me anything you would like until 5:10. Lucas, happy birthday! I'm so glad you're spending it with us. All right, so a number of you want to know about the Netflix situation with Cuties. Well, let's remember that Netflix didn't make Cuties. They're simply distributing it. And it has very good reviews. It has, like, for some reason, 90%. Because a lot of times, unfortunately, I think people get lost thinking that something's art, and they don't realize how inappropriate it is. Like, for instance, when I talked about Birds of Prey, and I never called it pedophilia. That was like, I think that's too far of a leap. That was twisted by another outlet. But I do think it's inappropriate to have a young girl swallowing any naked, version of Ewan McGregor on a diamond. It's just really weird. And so I think that so again, I feel like a lot of times critics, artists, they get so lost in like pushing the edge of the envelope. And Cuties apparently is supposed to be a commentary on over-sexualization in society. But I think the important thing to remember is that you can have a movie about that, but you don't have to actually show it. You could just tastefully kind of hint at it. I think that the problem is that Cuties wants to have its cake and eat it too. Cuties wants to say how horrible that kind of over-sexualization is, yet still benefit from showing that over-sexualization. I mean, I just saw a few clips. I saw some people ask me if I was going to review it. I don't want to watch that. I saw some clips of the dance show, and it was just so horrible. I feel bad that those young actresses were even asked to do it. So I think that, I wouldn't cancel Netflix. I think people are doing it to get Netflix to drop the show, and probably will go back to Netflix once they do the movie. I think it should be working now. Is it working? I think you guys should be good. Is it working? Okay, good. All right. Stupid browser. All right, so even the browser was like, I don't want to listen to this Cuties discussion anymore. It's too horrible. All right. Yeah, Portis 2, I know. Yes, that will be their normal schedule, dropping 2 episodes. I have to catch up on, what am I watching tonight? Tonight I'm watching Enola Holmes, and the review will go up tomorrow. And then I have to finish Ratched. And also I have to watch The Boys tomorrow morning, because that's going to be going up. A lot of stuff going on. Ted Lasso's on tomorrow. I hate having to watch these shows weekly. I can't tell you how much I hate it. I really hate it. Mika, I still don't have a Devil All the Time screener. They told me that they will be going out soon, hopefully, so I'm waiting on that. Yes, Sufjan, it was very sad that Diana Rigg passed away, but I was so happy that she trended on Twitter. It's a wonderful honor to have that many people caring and remembering you. You often don't see it for women, unfortunately. So I think that, that's wonderful that she's left behind such a legacy with not only the Avengers television show, but also, of course, Game of Thrones. Diana Rigg passed away, Joseph. Oh, Kyle, I didn't ask you about where you were at the beginning of the Q&A. I apologize. Today's a little bit crazy. I'll try and do that on Monday. Aaron, there was a television show called The Avengers that has nothing to do with Marvel, like in the 1960s, I believe. And she played Emma Peel. They made a movie of it with Ralph Fiennes and Uma Thurman. Hey, Alexander Valentine. That's right, Sean. She was also a Bond girl. Just Lewis, I haven't heard anything about Fantastic Beasts, but of course, as you know, they're supposed to start filming soon because Johnny Depp is trying to get his case delayed so that he can not be interrupted on his filming. I'd be like, this case was your idea. Denny, that's very nice of you to say. Madeline, my favorite Ted Lasso moment. I like all of them. I think it's such a sweet show. I just love that show. It's so great. Ted Lasso is like really, really good. Let's see here. Chico, what am I having for dinner tonight? I have some 2 hot dogs left that I have to finish before they go bad. So that's what I'm having. I have to make a list of when things go bad now because I don't want to miss the freshness date. I hate it when I pay for food and I miss the freshness date on it. So I make a list of what I need to eat by when so that I don't run out of food. Colby Cage, as soon as I know when a Mando trailer is dropping, I'll let you know, but I haven't heard anything about it. It should be dropping very soon, though. I mean, I told you, they're having difficulties. I think they know that they're not going to be able to hide what happened. I mean, they have so far. I can't believe that they've been able to hide it. It's so incredible. And I think maybe that's what's holding them up. They're kind of nervous about it. Who just said that about Mulan? Lauren says Mulan's Rotten Tomatoes score dropped a lot. Yeah, apparently also China has censored any discussion of it. I think it's a disaster. It's a disaster what happened with Mulan. That concentration camp story that we talked about earlier this week, it's just, they're never going to be able to bounce back from that. It was just horrible that happened. Disney, if they didn't know, they must probably be very upset with the Chinese government for having that happen. I mean, they invested so much money in Mulan, and now how are you supposed to watch it without thinking about that horrible stuff? It's just very bad. I have a source inside Disney Plus that says they're not even talking about it internally because it's just such a disaster for them, like at least from a PR situation. I'm not sure what the numbers are. Logan said you mentioned COVID vaccine news in your last stream. What are the newest developments that you know of? Well, I don't have any scoops on the coronavirus vaccine, but I follow the news a lot. I like to follow things in general, so I do follow the news. And they had a vaccine that was coming along, but one of the people who was a test subject got like really sick, so they had to take a break. And obviously, I have mixed feelings about the vaccine because they said, oh, well, we're going to give it to like first responders and people who are more vulnerable first. And you're like, so that's the reward they get, being the guinea pigs on a vaccine that could potentially really be harmful. And I also feel like it's really sad that a lot of the people, like it's wonderful that they're sacrificing, that they're taking a risk of being test subjects for this vaccine. But I feel really bad that, it's like an economic thing because they're getting paid, so it's taking advantage of people who need the money. It's such a dicey thing morally that I mean, like, to work in the medical industry must be like Whoa. Oh, Emily, I'm so sorry to hear that you've recovered, but you still have pain. I'm very sorry that happened to you, Emily, but I'm glad that you've mostly recovered. Pastor Madeline, there's no update on Robert Pattinson. He's just got to get through this. Nobody really likes to talk about it until they're done, quite frankly, because they don't want to jinx themselves. That's why nobody says, I have coronavirus. That's why you see all these announcements where people say, I had it. Robert Pattinson had no choice, though, because he actually had to go. I mean, they had to stop filming. Rich Campbell says, is New York a romantic place to visit? I don't know. I mean, it's just where I live. I feel like any place is romantic if you visit it with the right person. Diego says, thoughts on Daisy Ridley's Star Wars comments. You know, it's hard to go back. You don't want to just keep hitting Star Wars. I think I'll probably loop that into my discussion going forward. I think it's just insane, you know, like how she's supposed to work as an actor, you know, not knowing her parentage and being told different conflicting things all the time. I mean, to have a different idea of who her parent is in each movie. I mean, I don't understand how, if you don't know what Daisy Ridley said that for the Star Wars franchise, for this first movie, she was supposed to maybe be a Kenobi. For the second movie, she had no parentage that was of any significance. And then on the third movie, they decided to make her a Palpatine. And it's just, you know, they shouldn't have started to make the new trilogy without a clear idea of what her parentage was. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, it just shows you, like how difficult and complex and sometimes sloppy franchise filmmaking is. I can't believe, quite frankly, she revealed that, by the way. I think that there's a lot of rebellion against Star Wars people. I mean, I'm against the company. I think there's a lot of anger of the actors because I think that they were put in a difficult situation. And I think they're like, it didn't need to be so sloppy. That's right, Dallas. The rebellion is real. Stefano says, what's going on with the Jeff Johns controversy? Well, I think we're at a bit of an impasse. You know, I think Warner Brothers is just hoping at this point it goes away. So it's really up to Ray Fisher as to how he's going to handle this. But I think, as I told you, I think Warner Brothers was incredibly effective in shutting him down. And so I'm not quite sure what he's going to do to be able to get this going again. Although I feel Jeff Johns will be forever smeared by this. I don't know if he'll ever be able to do a convention or anything like that again. See. Oh, it's 5:12. All right, I'll do two more questions. Let's see here. Hey, Gabriel, I'm sorry we're about to end. Let's see. Chico says, do you think I already talked about Carol Baskin joining Dancing with the Stars. I think it's a good idea. Lloyd says, are you covering DC fandom? I will not be covering DC fandom on Saturday. I'll be checking out a few of the panels as a fan, but there's not going to be any news on Saturday. It's more of a celebration of all things DC. So if you like one of the shows or the video games or the movies that's presenting, or if you missed the Hall of Heroes, they're going to rerun that, you can go and check out those panels on Saturday. And I think you should, but I don't expect any announcements because they did all those on the original day. Tom Campbell says, did Dune trend? Did it? It not only trended, but it trended all day long. I think Dune is in a really great place publicity-wise. Very, very strong. Incredibly strong. I think Warner Brothers has done a great job launching that. And let's see now. I think people were mixed on the trailer, so I think that that's their next obstacle to see if they can keep it going. Alex Williamson, I did watch Rebecca. You guys pointed out to me that it's actually uploaded to YouTube. So I watched it for free on my television because I have the YouTube app on my Apple TV, and I had a wonderful time. It still holds up. It's a fantastic movie. I had a great, great time. So if you need something to watch, I would watch Rebecca on YouTube. It's darn good. All right, so that's today's stream. Thank you so much, everybody, for Alexander Valentine. I don't ignore you. I just didn't see your question. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. Videos tomorrow, but the next stream will be on Monday. And, of course, Movie Math every Sunday. Well, let's see what that Tenet number 2, weekend number 2 hold is, right? All right, bye, everybody, and thank you for your patience again today. I'm sorry we got off to a late start.